the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we can take a motion to approve the regular agenda with the change of 10C. We're going to delete it, the approval of police officer position.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Passes. Consent agenda. Take a motion to approve the consent.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. Chris, are you on yet?
You were doing so well, Rick.
He's shooting for 20 minutes.
Matt, can you just take it?
Record is 20 minutes.
You want to pass Matt your mic? We'll just have Matt take it if we don't have Chris on yet.
Yeah, so in front of you is the testing for the Columbus Avenue North 2022 CIP project. This is something we do every project. We went out for prices from two companies, Braun and American Engineer Testing. They're the companies that have given us prices in the past. Braun has done our testing for as long as I remember. So looking for approval to have Braun do our testing on the 2022 CIP project.
And Matt, you said we've bid this out on every project?
Every project we go out for testing fees.
And is it done individually or is it done through a contract or sometimes with a contractor's bid?
No, we do it individually.
Okay,
Yep.
I just don't remember doing it separately. But. And since 2005, they've always been the lowest bid.
That is correct. Yep.
Okay.
Well, they certainly know us, right?
And it's all, their prices are very similar, as you can see on this one,
Yeah.
but
I'd make a motion to allow the authorized public works director to enter into the contract for the construction materials with Braun Internet on behalf of the city of New Prague.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public is invited to, anybody from the public got any comments?
Well, we've got one on 4B yet.
Oh, yep, we do have a 4B.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Good evening. 4B is item for borrowing the city's portion of the Columbus Avenue project. So it would be a bond over 10 years at approximately an interest rate of 2.8%, which that can fluctuate from now until the sale date. And in January, it was discussed to add $225,000 for golf course equipment, so a certificate for that. So the amount listed was originally $980,000. We'd add $225,000 to that for the equipment certificate. So there's a resolution for action later that just authorizes the bond sale, and it sets the date and time of the sale for June 6th. And just approves the terms of the sale. So it'll still come back to council after that for review and consideration.
That's 250, is that what you said?
$225 for the golf equipment.
So then the resolution will be amended for the additional dollars?
So speaking with bond counsel, this particular resolution didn't need to be amended for that. It just needed to be stated that you would like to add a equipment certificate to this.
Can I ask why it's not just added to it already?
So that would actually be my mistake when they were putting it all together. In my head, she was already here when we had that discussion, and then I realized, was it like Saturday, that I don't think she actually was here. Patty was still here at that time. And so when I asked, they had not included that in there at that time. And so bond counsel said, just during the motion, just motion that we add that equipment certificate onto it. And that should be good legally for authorizing the equipment certificate and the bond for the improvement project.
Can you explain the equipment certificate? What,
Yes, and so it is a bond, but it sounds like speaking to Baker Tilly that for whatever reason, state of Minnesota, when you buy equipment, you buy it via certificate, not a bond. But it acts as the same thing. So we call it an equipment certificate, but it's essentially a bond for the equipment out at the golf course.
so then is the authorization, because that money is not in the resolution, is just gonna be in our minutes from council?
Well, it'd be in the motion. If you make the motion,
It would
add
be in the motion and then in the
Okay.
minutes, yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to connect the dots so that it's, someone comes and takes a look at this resolution, they're gonna not see the dollars, the full dollar amount, so,
Yep, and so the resolution itself, as you know, has 980.
Yep.
And then bond counsel would be 235 because they added 10,000 for an administration fee, and then the 225 that we would have for the equipment.
And when this goes for buyers for bid, they'll only see the total amount. The individual purpose won't be listed out, so they're just gonna see one lump sum.
okay. Yeah, because I know then we would have to authorize the sale, so,
So there's another 235?
No, so she stated 225, and that is the amount that the equipment cost us. Bond counsel said there was a $10,000 fee on that, and so the total amount for that is 235. And so you're looking at 980 plus 235 for the total amount.
So 1,215,000.
Bruce and Rick, are you okay with
I'm okay with it, I guess. I mean,
how
would've
it's
been nice if it
documented?
would've been in writing, but as long as it, whoever makes the motion puts it in the,
And it is something too, I mean, if you'd prefer us to change the resolution, just make the motion to say so. And we can get that resolution drafted up so the one that's actually signed has that worked into it.
Without losing any time for the sale?
Correct, yeah, we would just draft an amended resolution, and so that's the one that would ultimately get signed instead of
Yeah.
this one.
I think I'd feel more comfortable with that. I just don't want something to get lost in the,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's fine.
okay.
Is $10,000 the normal fee? Because it just sounds large.
High, yeah, that I am not, honestly not entirely sure.
I'm trying to look at what
I've
they're-
not gone through much with Baker Tilly, so I don't know what we've been charged for fees in the past.
Well, it looks like the whole other issue is 35,000 for cost of issuance. So it's certainly a much higher rate of administrative fee, but
Yeah.
the other thought, are we seeing the terms of the certificate? We're talking about that later, or are we committing to that with this action?
So it sounds like that certificate would be added into this, and so it just kind of adds to the total amount that we are going, or no, he did tell us that we could kind of pick those terms, couldn't we? Anywhere from 5 to 9 years.
Well,
So we have, for the equipment certificate, it's 1 to 9 years for repayment. And once we start collecting bids and bring that back, we can work on, those terms from now until,
I'm assuming the bid, or the terms would have to be known to the bidder, so they know how they're buying it, what the payments are, and things like that. The reason I bring it up is when we had discussed this earlier, last year, I think, at least there was some discussion about trying to tailor the payments in a way to support our goal, or at least my thinking, of reducing the amount of subsidy to the golf course. And one of the avenues was not to lump additional principal payments right off the top, because the golf course has larger payments, I think, for the next couple of years, and they drop off considerably.
Yes.
So the terms of these equipment certificates, I thought we're gonna think about having lower payments in the beginning and then much larger payments at the end. So I just don't wanna lose sight of those thoughts, or that we're just gonna put it out there, or at least think about it. I mean, so that, I don't know if there's been any thinking, or if this was kind of just brought up at the end here, and
Yes, and so like I said, this one's kind of on me of missing this, and so we haven't done a ton, and I know that, our bond counsel actually has been traveling today, so he's been hard to get a hold of.
Okay,
So, I would assume it's something that we could, go back to him and talk about. He'll be in the office again tomorrow, it sounds like, so.
And one of the notes that he mentioned is that we didn't have to update that resolution. It's not required, but we can certainly do so. And if we move forward with the equipment financing, that they would update the terms of proposal and pre-sale summary. So that's something that, once this is agreed upon, just because as Josh mentioned, this was just something new within the last couple of days, so we can get that updated terms of proposal and pre-sale summary. We're getting on a slightly tight timeline, but if it's more comfortable to you to see updated information and come back at May 16th, we can do so, or just reducing that timeline between bids and the sale and such, so.
I don't know that I need to see the detail as far as legally. I don't know that the terms of the repayment schedule is part of the resolution, so I don't know that that needs to slow things up. But I guess my concern is just that we don't, if we agree upon that same strategy, because it wasn't really thought through, because
Yep.
at the time that we were told, or we weren't able to get the equipment, and it was kind of put off for a while, and now whatever equipment we have available, we can get it apparently. And so it hasn't been discussed since at the end of last year and
Yes.
now. So,
So like, yeah, if the council wants to go that direction and kind of see if we can backload it a little bit so that there's zero to little interest paid early on, and they kind of pick up here, and I think it's 2 years when all that drops off. We will definitely work with bond counsel to see if we can get that worked into their payment schedules.
well, that's my opinion.
And-
I don't know I can't recall what the debt payment structure is of the golf course right now, but, so I don't know how to comment about it, but the idea is that we're gonna backload it. That was the thought. So
And I
that'd
do remember
be-
having that discussion.
So that would be, this is a very small dollar amount in our world, 200-some thousand. And to pay it off in 5 years seems more reasonable, but I don't know if that fits into a low payment for the first 2 years and then larger payments for the last 3. But my druthers would be to get it paid off in a more quickly timeframe, not 9 years. But I'm trying to recall, what was the total wish list of the golf course? Was it 500,000 or 300,000 or 400?
So I think for this year, their wish list was closer to about 280, 290. And so, but those first 4 that we ended up approving were the bulk of it at 225. I think the other items were significantly cheaper than those 4. And our thought was that we'll kind of see going into the season how it looks like revenues are going to be running. And then we'll decide as whether we want to start trying to move on those other 4.
Well, I say 5 years, not knowing what's on the wish list for next year, and if we're gonna be borrowing again for something that obviously has to be factored into the overall debt repayment, in 5 years might be too quick. But,
And were we initially thinking about bonding for that, 225?
So I think some of the conversation we had was with interest rates as low as they are now, it seems to make more sense to bond now, knowing that our cash may be more valuable next year or the year after, especially if interest rates get raised, what they're predicting they may. So, I mean, we as a city, we have the cash to float it if that is a route that we want to go without bonding for it. It's just a matter of do we want to tie that cash up.
well, I'm comfortable with not slowing any of this down, as long as we seem to have an understanding of the kind of terms we're looking for.
Yep. And yeah, so I'll let you all decide if that's something you kind of want to see if we can backload this a little bit so that immediate debt hit isn't quite so hard, which I think was right around 140 is what they had again this year. And then I think, yeah, within 2 years, it drops off pretty hard in terms of what they actually owe.
And I'd be interested in understanding why the admin fee is $10,000 on 225,000, because that's almost a percentage point more than on the 980,000.
Yeah, because originally, I mean, so what is it, total around 45 or?
So, but,
It's totally up to you guys what you want to do with it. If you want to, table it until next week, but if she's running under a crunch, it could be just put right into the resolution.
well, we can amend the resolution with our motion to keep it moving forward and the interest on hopefully locking in on a low interest rate.
Yeah, it's, what is it, 2.75 or?
Yeah, 2.78.
It says 2.78, we're gonna end up saying 2.8, because those things can fluctuate a little bit before sale actually happens.
Yeah.
Yep, and you don't know, that might be going way up.
Well, as I think, I don't know that, we wanna slow this down and to redraft. We're not gonna be redrafting the main bond, or if we are, it's gonna be small paragraphs to talk about the equipment certificate. And to wait until next meeting, I think is gonna run into an issue or problem to decide anything.
Yeah.
So I think we really need to, at least I sense that.
I was just going to say I would make a motion to approve Resolution 22050201 as amended to include the equipment certificate of $225,000. And then, as long as we're able to understand the terms of the certificate.
And yeah, and as we talk about that, I can include that in my weekly update, just so you guys can kind of see where that conversation has gone and keep track of that as well.
Did you put that as a motion? You want a
Yes.
second? I'll second it.
Is there any discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Passes. All right, zipping up to 10. TH19 right away. Who's got that one?
That would be myself. So you all may remember last fall, MnDOT had us amend their contract for right-of-way acquisition to increase the amount that they were willing to cover. This is just a second amendment to that. That will increase it a little bit further, just to make sure as we are paying legal fees, and acquisition costs that the contract reflects enough that we will actually be able to be reimbursed everything that goes into it. And so, that is what this amendment is just increasing that amount that they're willing to reimburse.
I make a motion to approve the amendment number 2 to MnDOT and authorize the mayor and administrator to sign on behalf of the city council.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes. Approval of park maintenance position.
Council, in front of you is the Parks employee that we were looking to hire on March 15th. We put out for advertisement in the New Prague Times Extra and a couple other free sites with the closing date of April 5th. We received 17 applications, and after doing our T&Es, we interviewed 6. After we did the 6 interviews, we all decided that Frank Rosichka would be the best candidate to fill this Parks position. Frank Rosichka worked in the Parks Department in 2018 to 2020 as a summer help. He worked for a landscape company / snowplow company from 2017 to 2019, and then he's been doing HVAC for the last 2 years. While Frank was here, he was a great summer help for us. He actually did a lot of our cutting at the baseball field, which is very particular. And we were very excited to see his name come up when we were doing our reviewing our application. So I'm looking for approval for Frank Rosichka to start for the Parks Department on May 16th. With I should say on pay grade 1, step 1, pay grade 8, step 1.
Great. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Frank for the Parks position.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Passes. Surplus city, property.
I'll take this one. So the last council meeting, we talked about the 37 extra council, well, I call them council chairs, that we have here that have not been used since we got them. The council wanted us to put out for bids, so on April 18th, we put them on the city website, and we also put them on social media. We put them on for 6 days, and we received 2 bids. We received a bid for $100 for all 37, and we received a bid for $740 for all 37. So it's staff's recommendation to approve the sale of 37 chairs for a total of $740.
It was worthwhile to go out to bid.
Oh, that's the price we got originally, actually.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought there was something that
We had
lower.
$20 a chair we got offered before that
Oh,
we
okay.
thought was a good price.
Okay.
And again, we would put it out for bids like you guys recommended, but they gave us the same price that they originally
Okay.
offered, so
Good deal. Well, I'll make a
at
motion
least now
to,
we know.
yes, exactly. I'll make a motion to approve the sale of the chairs.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Passes. Steve's up.
All right, as you see in front of you, we have a beautiful 1979 ladder truck that Rick should buy, won't buy. It's been sitting at Pioneer Power since 2013. Pioneer Power called me last Tuesday asking if they could sell it. They didn't want it anymore. I think it was kind of donated to them or given to them, but we can't find anything in the past minutes or that it was ever brought to council or ever formally given to them. So I told them, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll just pay you for the 2 batteries you put in it, cause that's all they're trying to get out of it, and I'll drive it back, bring it to council, and we'll throw it on the bid site with the rest of the city equipment that they're trying to sell. So, if you drive by the fire station, the relic is sitting outside. So just looking for approval for Matt and Kim to put it on the bid site to see what we can get for it, hopefully enough to cover the cost of the batteries.
Really, I mean, with only 20,000 miles, it's it's just outdated.
Yeah, the pump hasn't been tested since 2013, the ladder hasn't been tested since 2013. I wouldn't go on the ladder even if it was tested. After clearing out some of the 9-year-old diesel, it actually drove about 60 miles an hour on the way home.
You aren't selling it well, I'm gonna tell you that, if anyone's listening.
The pictures will sell itself.
But it was right flying in a parade.
Let's put it this way, I think there was a reason why Jerry and Mike tried to give it to Pioneer Power. We'll go with that. So. Just looking for approval to put it on the auction site.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Passes.
Well, somebody's gonna be lucky to get this.
Somebody,
Maybe there's a collector of fire trucks.
yeah, somebody will buy it and use it as a parade truck. You see a few of them around.
Are you looking for an approval to, on the minutes, or are you just giving them to us for information?
The minutes are just an FYI from some of the meetings that have happened lately.
All right. Duly noted. Staff, you got anything? Steve, Matt, Jim?
We have a retirement coming up here in the next month, so we'll be looking to hire one come June.
I got nothing.
Just that, with the withdrawal of, the additional police officer, we'll be looking at our current eligibility list to take a look if there's any viable candidates on there. Otherwise, we would open up another process.
Bruce? Robin?
I have a lot of microphones. That's one update. The council laptops arrived. Unfortunately, the wrong laptop bags arrived. I tried to put it in every which way, and it doesn't fit. So I want to get you the appropriate bags, and I'm working with CTS to ask them which bags they should have sent us. So you'll hear from me shortly, and we'll get your laptop devices and email accounts and everything set up. So possibly at the meeting at the 16th. So.
Nothing.
I don't have anything.
Bruce?
We talked about the golf course a little bit. I'm wondering if anybody just has an update on how the memberships are doing. I saw in the information provided to us that we're down through March $48,000, which is pretty substantial, but I understand the weather was so much better last year. And it was like the perfect storm of things going the right way for us last year, but just curious, anybody have a feel for it? And Sean's not here, so I didn't know
So
if you know
I
or
did attend the
Robin.
golf board. At that point, Kurt didn't really have any information to update since the end of March. But I know they were hoping to, because they'd had a few events, it sounds like that they hadn't had previously. So they're hoping that that kind of makes up for some of the money lost. But I know that they were kind of lamenting on the fact that this weather was keeping people off the course thus far, so.
Yeah, and the membership is, when the weather's bad, the membership's even more important because
Yep.
that's paid. So, I think that's another reason why we want to kind of keep things close when we're talking about the payments and things like that. And one of the reasons I think we don't want to use any cash on hand, because if it is a bad year, they're gonna use up cash.
Yep.
And if they're already behind 48,000 and they're not collecting it, once you get to June, people tend not to pay their memberships. So it's
Yeah, back
a
to
thing
that.
that we want to keep close on
Okay.
with.
So
That was my
much-
only question.
So much for making a profit on that for 2 years in a row.
It
Well,
looks like
it can be
things are
very
gonna get
good. I don't want to dismiss it at all, but it's just that we had such a great year last year and we're behind budget, obviously, but.
And I do know that they played conservatively into the numbers when they put them together. They didn't try to match last year. They brought those numbers back. And so I think the hope is that they can still kind of catch up with it.
Yeah, things might turn around this weekend for them.
Yeah, I think it will.
We can only hope.
70 degrees.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
Don't jinx it.
That's all, the only question I had.
All right, the only thing I got to say is, next time we meet is on May 9th,
For
5:30.
the interviews, yeah.
downstairs. Exercise a motion to do adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
All right.
aye.
Passes. 28
I say
minutes?
28 minutes.
Were you going for a